Hey, folks, this is Eric of the East. Not doing any elk hunting or anything like that over here in the East. East of 95, anyway. You know, people east of 95 are a little different from most folks, but, well, that's a topic for another day. But, been pondering this situation, trying to figure out exactly why, or maybe propose some ideas as to why that maybe the political class, definitely the media class. I'm not sure that they really don't understand, but just in case they don't understand why people are hesitant about taking the jab, and hesitant about a lot of stuff, really. There's some more recent stuff, last 4 or 5 years, whatever. We know some information about that, which I'll talk about. But it kind of goes back to not trusting you guys. None of you really. Left, right, I don't care. I mean, it's so far past anything where we can know what's going on, as evidenced by, especially, during the last 18 months, we've had all kinds of mixed signals. I mean, just the thing about, don't wear the mask, don't wear the mask, wear 2 masks. We don't have to do it, once you get the jab. You don't have to do it then, but then as soon as you get the jab, yeah, we're going to have to do it now. And, but you won't have to do it here, but you got to do it there. Yeah, we know the kids don't, really aren't really affected by, what's going on. And, but we still need to jab them, and we still need to make them, wear a mask. But anyway, I mean, that's just the some of the rhetoric and stuff that's going on. And there's a big fight with the mama bears showing up at all these school board meetings and county board meetings, and they started their own blogs and channels on all the different social media stuff where they can put stuff up there, because a lot of the media stuff, if they don't like what she's saying, it don't matter whether it's really how she feels or whether it's truth, not truth, or whatever. They're not going to let them express their opinions. It's not about truth or misinformation or anything like that. It's not about that. It's just about it's not the narrative. And like I say, we see that on the media. We see that, from, both sides. And, it just happens to be one of the sides in office right now. You have a different side from the other group that's not in office. But I'm going to try to quickly run through maybe some of the reasons why it's kind of hard to believe and understand, why you don't get why most people just don't believe what you're saying. Kind of goes all the way back to, the time frame whenever the previous president, before our previous president, from like 2008 to 2016, let's say 2010, 2016 time frame, more, whenever things started really popping. But there's situations out there where we got the hands up, don't shoot thing. If anybody can remember that, turns out that that never happened. It was like 29 witnesses that were at the scene that testified that, and signed affidavits. That did not happen. Completely wrong. Most people don't even know the whole story about what actually went on during that time with that particular situation with Michael Brown. And as you know, him and his buddy had just strong-armed older gentleman in the store and stole a bunch of cigars. And they were walking down the street, leaving with their goodies. I mean, down the middle of the street. And it just so happened that the cop, comes by and if my memory serves me correctly, he didn't even know anything about the strong arm cigars or whatever. I don't even know if it was even called in or what was going on there, but he just happened along them where they were walking in the middle of the street and asked them to hey, move out the street, move over to the sidewalk or whatever. Pissed Big Michael off, and he reaches in the car and he's messing with the policeman riding down the road and tries to get his gun from him inside the car, and the patrolman actually shot him in the hand while he was trying to get the gun from him, reaching through the window in the car. And of course, Mr. Brown walks off, and him and his buddy, and they get over on the sidewalk, and they're taking off down the sidewalk, and the policeman stops, and after he's tried to assault the policeman and tried to steal his gun and all that, he can't not do anything. But so he gets out, and he tells him to stop and this, that, and the other, and that's when the lie, his buddy told that lie to I guess it was the news people and the police and everything, that Mr. Brown had his hands up and told him told the police not to shoot him or whatever. But like I say, then he charged the policeman, and the policeman tried to get him to stop 2 or 3 times, and he wouldn't. Michael Brown's a big guy, and the police, the rules are you can't let the guy run over you and take you over, because if he gets your gun, then he can kill you. So he shot him and put him down, and the guy was bull rushing him. So that's kind of what happened. But the media didn't report any of the story except for the hands up, don't shoot thing, and riled the whole country up and everybody. So that turned out to be completely false narrative. Cost the guy his job and cost him where he was living at. He had to move and go somewhere else, because he was feared for his family, even though he did his job like he was supposed to. So all that was cleared up, and he didn't get any charges filed against him. But still, you still hear the narrative about the hands up, don't shoot thing today, whenever it's been a lie since day one, and proven very quickly after that it was a lie. And then you had the kid down in Florida where the guy was he was Hispanic American, was walking around the neighborhood and stuff like that, and Trayvon Martin. And anyway, the guy was suspicious because he was walking kind of behind the houses and stuff like that across through there, and they have neighborhood watch, and he's one of the neighborhood watches. And anyway, altercation happened because he's out of his vehicle, and maybe shouldn't have done that or whatever, but the kid come over to him and started fighting on him and stuff, and had him down on the ground and banging his head on the concrete. And then the guy pulls his gun out because he's licensed to carry or whatever, pulls his gun out and shoots the guy because the kid's about to kill him, and kills him. And then there was all kinds of narrative about that, how he was racist and all this, that, and the other, and that's usually reserved for the white people to be the racist, but he was white enough, so he turned out to be racist too, evidently, because he killed that kid. There's a whole lot of backstory around that too, about how the kid's girlfriend lied, and it was actually somebody else went and gave a statement, and that wasn't even his girlfriend, and made some stuff up, and they figured that out later, that she went there to make some stuff up, and that wasn't even the girl that he was even talking to on the phone when this stuff was going on. So we run with that, and even though he was proven innocent, and he was just standing his ground, which that is the law, the narrative just continued to carry on even till this day. And a few other situations like that. I won't go into any more of those, but even till this day, those kids' mothers are traveling the country, doing some kind of road show or whatever, talking about how their kids got killed and this, that, and the other, and so the situation just keeps going on and on, even though there was a completely false narrative put up around those. Fast forward anyway, and there was a whole lot of stuff there in those years, and President Obama was, I don't know, I believe, because the things I see with my own eyes and what happens and stuff like that, that he stirred up a lot of racial stuff, just like I've told people a bunch of times since then. After those 8 years were over, when he was out of office, that a lot of my friends and family before 2008, 2009 time frame, I had no clue what their political leanings were. That wasn't the things we had in common in life, and the things that that we cared about, whether it was friends of mine that were of a different color or a different religion or whatever. It didn't matter, because we all treated each other good and stuff. And it seemed like after all these years that we were in a situation where finally maybe that things had we were all coming together as a people. And then those 8 years happened, and it just the chance that President Obama had to bring this country together and everything he did was divide. In my mind, and in a lot of people's mind too, and what you always have to go by is the the proof in the pudding type scenario. How was it whenever he came in? How was it whenever he left? And it was horrible whenever he left. So that left a lot of reason for all kinds of tension and stuff like that. And then, so move on. Another example. When the Brexit thing was going on, if some of y'all, I'm sure a bunch of y'all know what it is. Some people might not, but that's whenever the UK was going to leave the European Union, and it was called Brexit. Britain exit or whatever. And so anyway, all the polls and everything said it couldn't never happen. There was all kinds of stuff about, that was a racist movement being run by racists or whatever, because they didn't want to stay in there and go by all the rules that the European Union had and, do their own thing, be sovereign. That's what they wanted. And so all the polls said that it would never happen, and, all this, that, and the other. And then whenever it did happen, people were flipping out. How in the world did that happen? How did was enough people wanted to do that they voted to leave the European Union? And it was just that thing about the way they skew the polls and stuff like that to try to make people think that well, it's not going to happen anyway. So it ain't no sense for me to go vote for us to leave the European Union. And it didn't happen. They might have affected some people, but there was enough folks that, of course, it did happen, and people are just stunned. Oh, how did that happen? I just can't figure it out. And it was the toughest thing in the world to figure out. And then, of course, the big one, whenever Donald Trump was running for the president, right up until the last minute, all the polls, they were saying that Hillary had 99% chance of winning, or 95%, depending on the poll that you saw, even up until the last minute. Both of them had things going on, just like they do in campaigns, to smear each other, and stuff that really happens and stuff that doesn't happen, or whatever. How big it is or how small a thing it is, they blow it all up, and that's all the media just blowing everything up. And then all of a sudden, whenever the election was over and the numbers came in, Donald Trump won, and everybody was like, man, how in the heck the daggone posters and the experts and everybody, they were daggone wrong again. How were they wrong again? And, you got this racist, bigoted guy that won and all that stuff like that. Just can't believe that, and he's going to, be the biggest leader in the world and stuff like that. How in the world that happened? I just can't figure it out. Well, it's because they skewed the polls and everything, once again, trying to get the daggone, it's nothing but the liberal media trying to get the, conservatives or whoever might thought they wanted to vote for Donald Trump to say, well, heck, it's over 99% chance Hillary's going to win. Then it says me get out of the house. Well, it didn't work again, and once again, they probably did affect some votes. Google was big time. Yeah, I bet it did a big study on Google, and they moved all the did all the algorithms to move up everything that was good for Hillary and terrible for Trump and all that, and kept those. If you search for anything, it always came to the top that Trump was a horrible person, and they estimated that the guy that's been doing this forever estimated that there was probably 3, maybe even as many as 8 million voters that would have voted for Trump even then in 2016 that voted for Hillary, just because of what Google did. And that study's out there. I'm not going to try to cite all this stuff. If you're interested in really finding out, you can go see it. I mean, I can't validate it or whatever. I'm just saying what the study found about Google or whatever. But you may find something that says otherwise, and I'm sure Google says otherwise. So I mean, that's all well and fine too. But and then you got the media out there, and it's Russia, and all that stuff. It just never stopped. One thing after another. Dossiers, whistleblowers. I ain't even gonna say some of the other stuff that they were saying that Trump had done or whatever. And then he's trying to be a president during that time, and all everybody is doing is it's negative or whatever. Only outlet he had to get anything out there that he wanted the people to know, and he said he was going to make sure the people knew what he did day by day, and that was the Twitter stuff, and it hurt a bunch of people's feelings. And I hate it when widow feelings get hurt, because that's a bad thing when you get your widow feelings hurt. But one thing I did learn about Trump, he never attacked anybody until they attacked him first. I don't care. You can say anything about John McCain and any of the other people along the way, but they always punch first, and he's a counterpuncher. That's what he's going to do. That's who he is. And he counterpunches back, and when he counterpunches back, he goes hard. And people don't like it, and the way he put his tweets out and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not saying I'd like them either, but the only good thing about me was I didn't have Twitter, so I never saw him except for whatever somebody said on the news or maybe some story or something like that, whatever it might have been. But so they get Mueller in there, and he's going to do all of his stuff and find all this stuff out, and spent $20-40 million. Had every freaking lawyer from that worked for Hillary Clinton and the Clinton campaign and this, that, and other, and they're the ones that Clinton and her lawyering group are the ones that put the daggone dossier together. But anyway, we wouldn't report on none of that, so y'all didn't know that, whatever. So we're all along there thinking, daggone, man, he can't be a Russian agent or nothing like that, and whatever. Then Mueller comes out, and he puts his report out finally after all those years, and can't find anything. Couldn't link anybody from Trump to campaign or any of his people to anything to do with Russia. Just couldn't do it. Russians spent like $150,000 supposedly, and we don't even know that, on Facebook. $150,000 was nothing, because you may know or may not know, Hillary's campaign and all the PACs and everything for her spent like $2 billion on her campaign to Trump's little $250 million, and he still beat her, and she spent 8 times as much money as he did, and he didn't take a dime from any kind of PAC or anything or anybody. So anyway, Mueller stuff comes out, and he can't find anything, but he's still got to throw a little bone in there, which is not his job. Whenever they do that, they're supposed to either find something or not find nothing and report it, and that's it. But he's got to make a statement about it in his little report. But I couldn't prove him innocent, though. If you don't find anything, a man's innocent till proven guilty. You don't get to come out and do that. That was the stupidest thing in the world I've ever seen. But so anyway, that gave all the press and the politicians more fodder. Well, what did he mean by that? And there still is stuff, and there's stuff in that report that we can pick a little thing out here and there, and we can still throw that out there and put it to the people and all that stuff like that. And anyway, we heard all of that crap about him for all those years, and it turns out nobody can come up with any smoking gun or anything. And and then you're thinking, well, how could that even happen that we know he was working for Russia, and Russia was trying to help him, and Russia helped him win the thing, and but whenever you finally do find out, and you've got to accept it, you don't understand. How could they be telling us that all this time, and then it turns out they couldn't find nothing. Believe me, if they'd have found something, they'd have nailed him to the wall, because that's what they really wanted to do, because they wanted to impeach him there. Couldn't do that, and then you have to go through all this stuff, about your country, you're white, and if you're white, you're a racist, and all this, that, and the other, and putting all this stuff out there, half truths, half things that happen, half the story. Then you go through all that, and that a lot of that stuff is just crazy, and so you're sitting there watching more stuff on the TV, and one of the things that happened in Charlottesville, and Trump said those were some good people out there. Well, you can go on YouTube or any other place and look up the video of the whole video of what he said, and I knew it right up at the very beginning when all that stuff happened, that he was talking about what had happened and condemning the racists, the Nazis, the Klan, whoever it was, denouncing all them, and the people that would cause all that kind of trouble. And then he says, but I'm sure there was also some good people out there too, which he was talking about the people from the town that had lived there forever, that had heritage out there and didn't want to see those statues torn down or anything like that. And but that's all the media reported, was that one little part right there. So he's a racist, he's a bigot, and he loves the KKK and the Nazi crowd, and they all love him, and this, that, and the other. And so that, and I even as much as a week ago, I saw the same thing again. I was like, man, y'all will just keep right on forever putting that crazy crap out there. It's the daggone thing I've ever seen in my life. And then we're sitting there watching the stuff about Jesse Smollett, where he got attacked and got a noose put around his neck, and two white guys, attacked him, and they were wearing MAGA hats, and racially abused him, and he got his primetime interview, and he was crying while he was talking about all that, and the news just carried that on. What in the world where he was at, and where he was going to the Subway to get his sub. What in the world would two white guys with MAGA hats be in that area anyway? Nobody has ever explained that, but they did find out who the two guys were, and he had paid them to do that, and this, that, and the other, and so he could make himself more relevant, because he was becoming irrelevant in his career. So, but we have to hear that forever and ever, and it just keeps going on. And then the next thing you know, we got this thing going on about this kid out there, where the whole class and everything goes to see the whatever it is. I guess it's at the Washington Monument place up there or whatever, and the news is all about how he was harassing the Native American elder or whatever, and the commentators were like, this, I think they were saying something like, this kid looks like a kid that you would want to punch him in the face or something like that, and you don't like it whenever people mess with Indian elders or whatever, and Native American Indian elders or whatever. So kind of makes some sense to you. You're thinking about it, and oh yeah, and then it was expert after expert. CNN, even a conservative that was on CNN, which she's not really a conservative, she came out and talked all about it, man. And then, a few days later, when the truth comes out, that he's just standing there not doing anything, and the guy walks up to him with the little drum and starts beating on it and singing his song or whatever, and he was really threatening the white kid, and the white kid just stood his ground, didn't move, and all his buddies and people he went to school with were behind him and everything, and he just sat there and smiled, trying not to be ugly to the guy or nothing like that, never did anything. Then when everybody finds out it was really that guy, and there was even some people behind him that were kind of his backup a little bit in case anybody made a move. They were gonna come down on these kids. But anyway, so if you didn't agree with all that, you were a racist and this, that, and other. Anyway, you went through all that, saw all that stuff happening, and you don't check your sources, or there's always we've got sources we can't divulge, or anonymous, this, that, and other. And there's always an anonymous source, and it always turned out to be a lie. It's like I said, Smollett, attention-seeking thing. It's just they're saying we're such a racist country, and we're just terrible people, and this, that, and the other, and we got our white privilege and all that stuff. It just keeps going on and on, and you're sitting there thinking, if you want to admit it, or is it okay to you that they misreported all that stuff and they continue to do that? And these are all experts. They're all been in this business for years, and this, that, and other. And it makes you want to think that they would do a good job. They used to be reporters, and from what they're saying, it almost makes you where you have to believe what they're saying, that your country is racist and that all men are bad people, and that there's more than one gender, and it's just and a lot of times that's stuff that you don't even know what you're hearing, because it don't make any sense to you, but you believe it because they're smarter than you are, so they're bound to know what they're talking about. Then all of a sudden we get the pandemic that breaks out in China, no matter how it came about, and then start off with it's no big deal. Nancy Pelosi's out there in Chinatown in San Francisco telling everybody, after the president says, hey, we're going to shut this mess down because it's looking kind of bad. It's already got in Italy. He shuts China down, this, that, and the other. And he's a racist because he shuts China down. And, Biden's out there saying, well, I didn't never agree with that, and we shouldn't have never done that. But, there's video, all that, them saying that we should never have done that. But it turns out that was the best move. And, anyway, they're out there saying what they're saying, and all of a sudden it turns out that was the right thing. But the media's carrying on like they're showing stuff where it looks like the liberal side is correct, and Donald Trump's orange man, he's a bad man or whatever, and for shutting down the travel to China, he's a racist, like I said, and and that's all been repeated from the past, from everything that they claim that he's done, and the way he's wanted to keep the Mexicans in Mexico, and one thing after another. So just continue with that, and they don't like him because he's calling it the Chinese virus. That's another part of it. They don't like that, and it just continues on, and so in the end, when you finally come down to it, it was a really, really bad thing. I think in hindsight, over 18 months, we can see that we probably should have shut down everything earlier, as far as coming from other countries, and definitely from across the southern border, which is completely different now with our present administration. But anyway, people bought up all the stuff there was out there, and this, that, and other, because we ended up shutting the country down. That was 14 days. Medical experts are out there telling you not to wear a mask. Just like I was talking about earlier, and to focus on washing your hands. And then the lockdown started coming down everywhere, and all of us did whatever they asked us to do in the very beginning, because it looked kind of horrible. None of us has ever lived through a pandemic, so to speak, that's going to be anything like this. You just live off of the money you got in your bank account, or whatever the government will give you, and stuff like that. We're doing the best we can to keep our hands clean, don't touch any surfaces. They were cleaning up everything at work, and putting this surface stuff on there that stays on there for like 3 months that kills all the virus and stuff like that. So even if it touches it within a second, if it gets on that surface, it's gone. And anyway, like I say, everything was shut down. It didn't matter what it was. Stuff for the kids, couldn't go on vacation, couldn't go to spring break, couldn't do all that. So you feel real good because you did everything you're supposed to, and we get through our first wave, and somehow or another they were talking about how it was going to devastate our healthcare system. And I know there was some hot spots like New York City where they had some problems, but they never did use the big center that the president sent all the military guys in there to build up all these beds and stuff, and then sent the ship down there. They never used it, and never used that. They never used all the the ventilators that the president got for him and stuff like that. And the media had run him in the ground and didn't do this and didn't do that, and didn't matter what happened, it had to be something Trump did. But then come to find out, they were doing all that crying and stuff, but it didn't ever happen. But the media still gets out there and puts that out there, and the left political gets out there and puts all the stuff out there that he's he didn't do nothing, and whatever. And then 3 months later, after they're saying that the masks don't work, that all of a sudden, then they bring the mask back into play. Well, you got to have mask mandates, you got to have all this, that, and the other, and you're going through it, but you're not supposed to ask any questions. We don't have time for that. You just need to do what we say, and even though it don't make a whole lot of sense, we're trying to do it. We're trying to wear a mask here and there, and you just never know how the science is involved in it, and nobody don't want to prove anything. You wear your mask, you go out, get your stuff, do this, that, and the other. If what's wrong with these folks out here? They won't wear their mask. Seems like they don't care about anybody else or anything like that, and that's all over the news. That's all over the left and stuff like that. And anyway, then you got Miss Queen Pelosi going out there even after everything's shut down and making her a private appointment with her little hairdresser, and getting caught on videotape not wearing her mask, just like it was with Newsom going out to eat dinner, and all these other folks that got caught doing exactly what they were preaching 5 minutes before, going back to the rule of, what's good for thee is, not good for me, or whatever the saying is anyway, But, the journalists, the reporters, and all that, and, they berate everybody else for messing with Nancy, and of course she blamed it on the daggone girl that had the daggone, the little hair dude place there, whatever, makes her look bad, causes problems for her, I think she ended up losing her stuff over there over all that stuff. But anyway, the rules kept going back and forth. You had the 14 days to shut down, to slow the spread, and it's 18 freaking months later, and we've got some businesses going back, but Lord knows there's a lot of people that lost everything they had because they had put everything they had all their life, especially older people, for these businesses and stuff, and they lost all of it. But anyway, of course, we went through the George Floyd thing and all that, and that was terrible, and the system ended up, him going through the whole process, and getting charged with it and getting convicted of it, and but that like to burn the whole country down, because it was okay then. This is some kind of it's good for health to have these people out here, getting all this out and protesting and burning down buildings and ruining their own communities. Terrible. And people there, that's all they had, and their businesses are all gone and stuff. But didn't make any sense how, and somehow to me, but the media tried to convince you, that was good. That's no big deal. Most people won't wear a mask, and when all the rioting was going on last summer and stuff. So, but that was okay, even though you can't go out to eat and you can't go out to do whatever without wearing your mask and to spread and everything like that. That really didn't. That they're not the two same things. Anyway, it's just, it's one thing right after another. It continued to go on and go on, and as time is passing now, and we know now because we just saw that nutty press conference yesterday at 5 p.m. with our president. With him, he was angry and talking down to people like he always has, actually, and just talking about all the things that he was going to mandate the vaccine. He was going to use the Department of Safety Board or the OSHA safety boards and stuff like that to write rules so people can, all the businesses with 100 or more employees are going to have to vaccinate or whatever. So there's a lot that's not. It's going to, as bad as shape as the economy is in. I know he claims he's in victorious mode and the economy's better than it's ever been, and more people are going to work and this, that, and other. But I'm sitting there listening to that, and the mainstream media is going all along with that, and I'm sitting here thinking, well, every month they've said we're supposed to have 700,000 or 800,000 jobs, people going back to work, so we're going back to some sense of normal, and we get 235, 325 or something like that. When you miss your goal that far, is it? But I believe it though, because all the big news channels said, but it was still really good. That was just a hopeful number, and they didn't. The 325 was really, really good. Well, if you're out and about, good and well that restaurants, all kinds of places don't have any help. And my God, the economy is so out of balance with all the stuff that's been done. I don't even know how to get straightened out and how long it'll take to straighten it back out for people getting back to where they need to be at and can work, certain jobs and stuff. Even the young people that normally work at the fast food restaurants and stuff like that, I'm trying to figure out where they're at. I can understand they don't have unemployment, so they're not stayed out because they're drawing money. But there's, people out there that won't work because of that, and thank God that that's hopefully finally ended unless somebody reinstates it. But making you believe that it's okay for people to stay in their rented home, that's been a thing, and not even realizing that all the people, that had those rented homes, they're still making a payment on it or whatever, and that might be old people that's just one house investment they had, and now so many people that didn't get that rent and the people are still living there, they've lost their own house and their livelihood and stuff like that, and they're going to lose the house as soon as those people move out of it or whatever that haven't paid no rent in over a year. They're going to lose that house too because the bank's going to come get it, and they've just lost everything they've had because of all that stuff. But I know that because I do research. I listen to different alternate stuff, so I can find things to do research on. I don't take anybody for their word. I can see a video and see somebody doing something, and I can believe that they did it. But as far as what people write down and an article or something like that, I go dig it out and find out what's really going on, But all of that stuff that was going on was all A-okay, man. It was just, that's the way it should be. When you care about those people, we can't put them on the streets and stuff like that. So, they get to stay where they're at and have to pay any rent. But you sure crippled many thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people that's the only little bit of income, or that was enough when they didn't get it in to pay the payment on it, that slowly but surely crashed everything they did. And of course all the negative impacts it had on the kids for not going to school and all that stuff, but we didn't get to hear all that on the mainstream media, and one thing after another with all that, and just like they even showed today on alternative news. I don't remember which one it was. It might have been Real America's Voice or something like that. They had a little YouTube video, but it was about whenever Biden was running for president. He was talking about if it's if it's something that Trump comes up with, you better check out what's in this stuff, and you better question it before you take it, and he wouldn't take it or whatever. And Kamala Harris saying the same thing. If it's something that Trump does, I'm not taking the vaccine or whatever. I'm not going to do it, and she wouldn't take it. And now it's completely the other way around. But them wanting us to know what was in it and all, we don't get to know that now that he's in office, and we can't find out anything. And that's okay with the media too. All they're doing is pushing the other side. They're not reporting anything that that is going to make that crowd look bad or whatever. Doesn't matter what it is. And it just, it's just one thing out of Hunter Biden's laptop. My God. They hid that thing. They found out about it before the election this year, but they hid that thing and wouldn't let nobody report on it. It was like taboo. And then after, the election's over, then all of a sudden you find out about that, and there's actually a lot of stuff already came out about that supposedly, tells a lot about how Dad had a lot to do with all that stuff, and that was supposed to be Russian disinformation. Well, there you go with the Russian disinformation. Most people believe that because that was what was being reported and all, and that's just Trump putting something out there. The Russians is working for him again, I guess, but turns out no, it's a real thing. And now they find out that there might be 2 laptops, and maybe the Russians even have both of them. Who knows? But it was just a decoy, just covering up again, just like they did in 2016 when they were covering up for stuff about Hillary. It didn't matter, that she went and wiped all those emails after there was a subpoena for her records. That's completely against the law. Anybody else in this world would got jail time if they'd have done that, but no, she brought her lawyers in there supposedly and cleaned that thing up and still gave them, maybe 30,000 emails or something like that. So, but that was all okay, So we're hearing all this stuff, and then it all turns out to not be correct. We're hearing more of it. Turns out, the story's got to be straightened out because it was all a lie, and some source that you had, told you incorrectly or whatever. And it was, like I say, it was just all this stuff starting all the way back during the Obama years, and then the Brexit thing that wouldn't happen, the misreporting, all the Trump misreporting and the lies that they just told, and it just continued on. And now here we are today, and we're sitting here, a lot of people can't believe anything that's being said by the administration because they lied, whenever they were even running for president, vice president, and all the media that just goes all the way back for, freaking, 12 years, 13 years or whatever, when it really got kicked up, before 2010. All the money that Obama spent, got the $1 trillion package to help get the country going, this, that, and other, all the shovel-ready jobs, and then a year later you're sitting there watching on TV, and it's funny to them because everybody's sitting around and Obama's sitting over there at the side of the table, and they're talking about the $1 trillion, and shovel-ready jobs, what happened to them, and where's the money at or whatever, and he's just, it's funny to him. He's like, well, I guess they won't so shovel-ready after all, and that's the last you hear of it. Media never ever go there, never try to figure it out. You probably had a station or two that tried to bring it up, maybe like Fox or something, but they had to leave it alone sooner or later, and now our president is trying to make everybody that, because of all those lies and stuff that's been going on over these years, people are not wanting to mess with this new jab they got and everything. And so what does our president do? He goes out there and he's going to turn all of them into second-class citizens, and they're not going to be able to do anything, and they're going to lose their jobs and their livelihoods. They're not going to be able to feed their small babies. My God, look at the nurses out there that they're in the hospital all the time. And I understand there's about 75% that are that have had the jab throughout the country. But I heard a number today, sounds even reasonable to me, that we're going to be, they're already short in the whole nation without any kind of problems with our nursing group. And believe me, they're the ones that run the show in the hospitals. I mean, you see the doctor for 3 minutes a day, and they're there 24/7, and normally a couple of different ones around the clock. When I was in the hospital for quite a bit of time, I mean, most of my stuff came from all the help I had, or the diagnosis and this, that, and other, some medication changes. Maybe somebody had to sign off, a doctor or something like that. But the girls were the ones that found out about it, or guys, whoever it might have been. In my case, it was mostly female nurses or whatever. But that group of people are the ones that figured it out. Now they're saying that there probably is 400,000. Get that now, 400,000. The girls are already being worked to death because they're short-staffed. They're working long hours every day to the week, 12 hours a day, whatever the schedule is at the place they work at. And then you're going to take 400,000 out of the pot of all the nurses that are out there. I mean, my God, that's even asinine, because who is going to look after you and make sure you get good care if you're 400,000 nurses short nationwide? Because if they feel that strong about it and they haven't done it yet, they're not going to get that jab. They're just not going to get it. That's just all there is to it. And they have a reason for being that way. And they have inside information. So I trust them when they say, we're just not going to get it. I have friends that if they ain't already lost their job, and I think a couple of them have, and they actually did a protest about 3 weeks ago at Duke University, Duke Hospital, I believe it was. I wished I would have been able to make it, but I didn't find out about it till late because I wanted to go up there and stand with them or whatever. But I think they had a fairly good crowd up there, just because they worked this whole time during the COVID stuff with less than adequate gear, putting their lives on the line, putting their kids and their families, whenever they leave the hospital, a possibility of bringing it back. And they worked in that stuff the whole time before there was ever a vaccine, and even still since then, because you could still get it. And they were the freaking heroes, man. And they were heroes. I mean, I'm like, gosh, I don't know if I could do that, man. Y'all are better than I am. I don't know if I could do that and then have to come home to my children, possibly give it to them or my mom or dad or whoever it might be, and I don't want to be one that takes somebody off of this earth, because I've already been in that situation where I didn't know that somebody had some bad health, and of course I didn't get around them, and I did wear the mask at that time because I knew the people that I were going to visit. There was some loved ones that they're very strict about that stuff, and they were waiting on the vaccine and all, but I wasn't told that there was some health issues involved in it with one of the people, and their immune system was low, or I'd have never gone over to their house to visit. I really wouldn't. I'd have never done it because I love them too much, and I don't want it to be on my conscience that maybe I picked something up, on whenever I went out to eat or to the grocery store or something, and then brought it to their house. So nobody wants that. Nobody wants that on their conscience. So anyway, point being, I know this got a little bit long here, but I am kind of long-winded, I think. I've been told that maybe before. But do you understand? Did anything I say even make any sense about why people are so hesitant? Why you think that we just don't trust you, or whatever it might, whatever your thoughts are? Why don't they just trust us? Take us for our word or whatever? Because you lie. You don't try to straighten it out. You tell one side of the story, and you've hurt people. Even with the therapeutics, I mean, you don't believe studies that Oxford University has put out for a therapeutic that we've had since before the freaking COVID ever started, and they said it would have stopped 95% of the hospitalizations. All you got to do is look it up. Look up Oxford University COVID study. And you'll find it, and you can read the paper yourself. I read it myself. The studies coming out of Belgium about the horse paste, which is not actually horse paste. That's another thing. That's all they say on the media is horse paste, horse paste. The freaking drug that they say is horse paste was actually approved by the FDA in this country first for human use. And the WHO is given away to countries like in Africa or whatever, millions upon millions, maybe even billions of doses of that stuff to keep them from getting the malaria and stuff like that. And even all the research I can find, everything everywhere, you're hearing the stories on TV. Oklahoma hospital, they have more people coming there overdosing of this particular drug that was the horse paste. One thing after another. They've not taken any horse paste. It's a prescription you get if you can find a pharmacy to fill your prescription, but it's been given out, like I say, millions upon millions of times. And there was nobody at that hospital. The head of the hospital came out and said, I don't know where this doctor's saying this. He has worked here before. He's a contractor, but there's nothing like that going on. All the ambulances are available. There's plenty of beds available. We can wait on everybody. We're good to go. I'm not saying he's a liar, but that's just not going on here. And do you know, to this day, I think it was first found maybe in 87 or something. I think even in Japan is the ones that discovered it, so to speak, that there has not been one single person to ever die using that daggone therapeutic. And I know people say it's the horse paste for parasites and this, that, and other, but it's also an antiviral, and it works fantastic. Supposedly all the studies, Israel's done a study, India went to this stuff because you remember it ain't been too long ago, they were about overwhelmed. I mean, their country was in bad shape, and their head people in the country decided, let's get the stuff. It can't hurt anything. It was found to be even 10 times better as far as less health effects or anything than freaking Tylenol. I mean, it's crazy how stupid, how the lies continue or whatever. If India hadn't, as soon as they put that in, I mean, almost immediately, within a week or two, their cases just about went away to nothing for hospitalizations. The people still got it, and they didn't feel good or whatever, but it was like a mild case of the regular seasonal flu. It wasn't even a bad case of it or whatever. But so that's been amazing how that's worked out. Brazil's got a study out. I think even I saw today where Dr. Is it Robert Chapman? I think maybe he was telling about a UK, some UK numbers and stuff like that. But anyway, there's more than one, and like I said, the leader of our political party in his speech yesterday even talked about the daggone monoclonal antibodies that have been around since when this thing started. Why now, 18, 19, 20 months later, are they just starting to talk about that and get that out? Well, I'll tell you why now is because the crap is about $1,000 a dose, whenever the horse paste, the human version of it, is like $12 for a whole week's supply. And you don't need but 2 or 3 days worth anyway. And your stuff is just about gone away by then. But it's like $1,000, and it's probably some major company that's giving money to campaigns and whatever, this, that, and other for the monoclonal antibodies. It's what President Trump had whenever he got the COVID. But he's the president, and he needs to get the best treatment, just like our guy that's up there now. I had a name I wanted to call the place he was staying, but anyway, in the Capitol residence up there. Anyway, but like I say, for me, either you're blind, stupid, and dumb, or you just refuse to see it, and that's what we call intellectually dishonest. You know why nobody don't believe you, and you just it's okay with you because dishonesty may be what you're all about. Could be that. But anyway, so I just wanted to throw all that out there just to finish with the one simple thought was, you don't understand why come they got hesitancy? Really? I love y'all. I know it's kind of long, but it's worth it to me. Like and subscribe. Not making any money. Can't never make any money on this thing because they're going to demonetize you. It don't matter whether you even could make money on it or not. They're going to demonetize you. So that's just the way it'll always be. You can't make money on this stuff. So if you think I sit here and do this and for money, then you're sadly mistaken. It's always a cost. Is all it is. It's all it is. Just a cost. But I love doing it, and I love my people, and I want things to be good for everybody and to live a long, healthy life. But I really do believe, because of the way they've held back all these therapeutics and stuff, that I hate to say, they've killed 500,000 people that could have lived, but 95% of people didn't have to die. But they forbade doctors, medical centers, anything to prescribe any of this stuff. And you know it now, because if you try to get it prescribed, something that's been out there for 40 years, the doctors are scared to death. If they work for a clinic, they definitely are not going to do it. If they don't have their own practice, they're not going to do it, because they're going to lose their job and their livelihood and everything to look after their kids. So that's what they're going to do. And you're lucky. Out of about 8 doctors, I only found one that would actually prescribe you something and give you something to get over the COVID before it gets bad, because you need to, once you start feeling some symptoms, that's when you need to take something. And it's just like the flu, it just happens faster and harder. So there's stuff out there to give you for the flu whenever you go in there and you're really in bad shape. The doctor's not just going to tell you go home and take some aspirin and whatever. If you get to feeling too bad, go to the emergency room where they can put you on some oxygen. That's not what they do. They give you an antiviral to stop the spread of it in your lungs before it does any damage, just in the regular flu. And then, whatever else it might be, they tell you vitamin D, zinc, whatever. That's the same protocol. It doesn't change for this particular type of virus. It doesn't change. It's just that maybe there's a little different type or whatever, or maybe you got to take it a little bit stronger dose or something like that. Maybe, I don't even know. I'm not saying that, but I really hate that we had to lose this many people, not just in the United States, but worldwide, because it's something going on terrible that it's hard for us to believe. But I've done too much research. I've talked to people. I have read all of these, every paper that's come out of any study. I've read every single one of them. I know what's in every one of them and what the numbers show, and some of these, the horse paste. I mean, in some studies, and it was different doses, 39% of the people that would have been in the hospital, it cut that back by 39%. In another study where they did a different dose, I think the first study was actually too much of a dose. And the WHO, when they did their original studies on it, they actually overdosed the people, and it made them get sicker, and nobody can understand why they did it, and they have never talked about it, but they discontinued it because, it's not doing any good. But right on the internet, you can go out there and see what the dose is supposed to be for that stuff, and that's what's called for when you build out that whole plan for releasing a drug to market and all that, and the FDA has to go through it and all that, and they gave them like double too much. Along with an initial big dose to start with, and it just made the people, feel worse or whatever, so they just discontinued it. But why did the WHO study? Why did they do that? And they didn't go back and try to do a correct study in the very beginning when there was a great possibility. It's crazy. But I understand why I'm so hesitant, and I understand why another 100 million people are hesitant about believing anything. I mean, been talking mainly about why they're hesitant for the vaccine, but it goes back to being hesitant because you can't believe a darn thing any of them say. Anyway, if you want to subscribe, like my video, subscribe to my channel, share it with everybody or whatever, ask questions, be smart, look after your health, your kids, and whoever, strangers. I want everybody to have a great life. Anyway, y'all have a great evening, and I love all of y'all.